May I now welcome Mr. Prashant Singh, co-founder and COO Leadsquared, to deliver the theme address. Mr. Singh is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Leadsquared. He heads all post-sales and customer-centric operations and is responsible for business retention, growth, and expansion. Prior to Leadsquared, Prashant was co-founder of Proteins, and he served as the COO. Post Symphony Telesa acquired Proteins, he served as vice president and P&L head for business unit of energy, healthcare, and media verticals. Welcome, Mr. Singh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks Bengal Chamber of Commerce to invite Leadsquared here. I live in Bangalore, and whenever I come to Kolkata, I get a distinct feeling, about business. In Bangalore, if you are on a coffee shop for half an hour, you will listen to a pitch, somebody pitching somebody talking about valuation, somebody talking about, doing an IPO. While in Calcutta or Kolkata, we hear about real business. We hear about vyapar, dhanda. वो यहाँ होता है. I think, and I get really energized by, looking at stories like Berger Paints or Greenply, real businesses, old businesses delivering real shareholder value year on year. So yeah, thanks Bengal Chamber of Commerce for inviting me. So while Mr. Abhijit may not have required any introduction about the business, I think everybody knows about Berger Paints. I think we require a little bit of introduction, so that's why this slide. We are a software as a SaaS company, focusing on sales, distribution, post-sales, and marketing automation. We are the foundation. Is that to me? Okay. Am I audible? Okay. Yeah. So our genesis has been in 2011 timeframe, when consumer-facing companies of India were taking shape. Companies which are in internet space and D2C space, in education, edtech, in healthcare, in e-commerce, those kind of companies were being formed around 2011 timeframe, and that's when Leadsquared also got founded. Today I'm proud to say that we are the foundation of sales, marketing, and service for a lot of traditional and new age companies, and we are powering their D2C and B2C in operations. So today we have more than 2,500 customers in different verticals, primarily serving to consumers. We have presence in all the metros in India. We have presence in 5 countries outside India. We have been recognized by several forums as one of the dominant SaaS players coming out of India. Our aspirations are actually to become one of dominant SaaS companies, and I'll give you some perspective that in late 90s, companies like TCS, Wipro, Infosys, they were in their formative days. I think the opportunity for SaaS companies is like that today. Some of us will really become large public companies in the next 5 to 10 years, and Leadsquared aspires to be one of them. Also, would like to point out that since Mr. Abhijit mentioned about profitability of new age companies, SaaS business is inherently profitable. The key metric that we track in SaaS business is gross margin, and our gross margin is best in the world, compared to all the public SaaS companies outlisted in US. We do a lot of front loading of sales investment, which is akin to capex that is being incurred in manufacturing industry. You basically create factories and then you realize the benefit. Similarly, we invest in creating products, new products, invest in sales of that, and when they start selling, we become net profitable. So unlike e-commerce businesses where you may need to spend 2 rupees to generate 1 rupee, in our business, if you spend 1 rupee in sales and marketing, you can actually generate 4 or 5 rupees, and we have those metrics in place. Last year we received our Series C, $153 million. We became the 103rd unicorn of India, and so we are made in India product. I think I'm proud to say that we probably have the largest market share when it comes to sales software in India, and would want to serve Indian businesses, traditional and new, continuously going forward. All right. So coming to the core theme, D2C. I don't read, or rather, I read very few management books because most of the books I find repetitive, verbose. But somebody whom I truly admire is Peter Drucker, and I go back to his books whenever I have some doubt. Things which have been said 50, 75 years back, they are still relevant. And few items that he said, which I still kind of relate to, that the aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself. That is the aim of the marketing. The purpose of business is to create and keep a customer. Very simple statement. And because the purpose of business is to create a customer, the business enterprise has two and only two basic functions: innovation and marketing. Doesn't sound like D2C, right? I mean, you have to innovate, you have to market, you have to sell directly to customer, so that sales is not involved, so that distribution is not involved. I think the concept, the basic tenets of D2C have been thought through and envisaged by a lot of people in the past, but the real display of that, real innovation of that is happening today. And in our opinion, D2C is actually innovation in marketing. It is a new way of connecting with the end consumer, being close and cozy, along the way, connecting with consumer in such a way that the complexity and cost of distribution goes down and the customer loyalty goes up. That, in our opinion, is the definition of today's D2C. Looking at the traditional model, it has been largely sequential from manufacturer to consumer. I think many of you would probably be able to relate to it, that there are several steps involved, hops involved in eventually delivering the product to the consumer. But in this kind of model, there are several issues that the brand is not really in control of the end consumer experience. How the end consumer is behaving with the marketing campaign that you do, or how the end consumer is doing the transaction at a retail store or with a distributor, that is not in control of the brand. Also, you lose all the data, and so whatever analytics you want to do on the data, that is not available to you in the traditional model. Also, the cost of doing this, setting up large distribution, of course, distribution is an advantage. If you're able to set up large distribution, I mean, that's a significant business advantage. But people who are trying to set up business upfront, for them, it's really challenging. So compared to this traditional model, how does D2C kind of tries to break in the challenges? It's a very clean, direct to consumer model. By the way, it doesn't mean that you have to start an e-commerce business, right? Or you need to have an e-commerce shop in order to be a D2C. It is basically reducing the number of steps that takes for the consumer to buy your product, right? And when the consumer is kind of deciding in buying your product versus competition, then what kind of brand image the consumer has, right? How does, and what kind of influencers are there who can influence the sale? So that is the essence of D2C. And I've seen in my interaction with a lot of customers and prospective customers, what I've seen that moving to D2C is kind of mental block in minds of a lot of people. They think in terms of the objections, the resistance that they have. First and foremost, I've seen that we are a B2B company, right? With excellent distribution, excellent retail partners. We don't need it, right? It doesn't work that way. If you are ultimately, if there is a consumer who's consuming your product, and if you're a company which believes in building brand, which is investing on marketing dollars or rupees in building brand, you have a D2C business. Whether you are executing it or not, that's a different matter, but you have a D2C play, right? So having large dealership network, having large distribution, and thinking that, it is going to be, differentiator for next 5-10 years, I think some rethinking may be required if you want to have a sustainable business, and D2C will have a play in that. Some people say that D2C may have worked in pandemic because, there was no option, but it won't work today. But if you look at consumer behavior, right, so subscription is a D2C model. Entertainment is D2C, right? People in pandemic time, they got used to reels, in such a manner that today you see common people on Instagram and reels all the time, right? So once the consumer behavior has shifted, some of that has shifted for long term. And unless you change your business model to align with that, I think being competitive will be a challenging thing. Another objection that I see is that D2C is for digitally native. It is not for traditional businesses. Only online companies require it. I think that's the biggest flaw in thinking. It is, as I said, it is applicable to everybody who needs to build a brand to sell the consumers. Whether you are a manufacturer, whether you are, you sell groceries, you sell, beauty products, you sell ply products, you sell cements, right? It is applicable to, everybody. Another objection that I see is that I want to do D2C, but what will happen to my, distributors, retail partners? How do I resolve the conflicts that will happen because of that? I mean, like there was a question, if a lead comes, how do you know whether it's a D2C lead or, it's a regular lead, right? I mean, those kind of issues will arise. Of course, if you want to add a new channel, those kind of issues will arise. But I think this statement that there'll be a conflict, that is probably a sign of lazy thinking rather than, trying to innovate and solve the problem. And it's a business problem. It can be solved if you think about it. Some people think that it's an easy add-on that I will adopt whenever required. It is not. It is, I think an imperative. It is a competitive advantage. If you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and that person will disrupt your business. So, there is plenty of opportunity for new players and existing players to capitalize on D2C. I think Mr. Abhijit also had some data points about the opportunity in India. These are some data points from another report that the market size in 2022 estimated $12 billion, and the growth rate is 40%, right? So D2C market size in FY27 would be around $60 billion. That's a humongous growth, right? And within that, DOC, which is direct online channel, today is $5 billion, which is expected to be $22 billion. So direct online channel will be $22 billion out of $60 billion, which means that the remaining will not be online. It will be D2C, but the transaction will be happening somewhere else. It will not be happening online in an e-commerce manner. It will be happening at a retail store, but your influencer probably would be influencing the deal, right? So I think it's applicable to everybody who is in traditional business, in all the building material business, in the paint business, in cement business, in ply business. It's hugely applicable. So what should we do? How to connect, be closer and cozier with customers, in D2C? So on the customer acquisition side, I think we all, whoever is trying D2C is thinking in terms of investing on performance marketing. I think that's a key, theme and objective and area of evaluation. Also, I would suggest that some of the brand should be thinking in building communities, right? I mean, community is really, it takes time to build a community, but if you're able to get sizable, user base, then it can be a game changer, For example, in paint business, if people are part of community, they start talking about, I have this kind of house and this kind of paint is, more relevant than this kind of paint. I think there is a play. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not from paint business, but, from outside, it appears that there is a use case for community in these kind of consumer brands. Otherwise, people are just, getting to know through brand campaign or through influencers. There is no authentic information being shared by other people who have consumed the brand. On the engagement side, I think there is a need to aggregate and track the entire cycle from brand pushing some information till it gets delivered to the end consumer and how the end consumer has interacted with information, right? For that to happen, you need a mechanism to track the entire prospect cycle, from the place the lead is coming. For example, in ply business, carpenters play a very important role as influencer, right? Some people are key opinion leaders. In cement business, the mason plays a very important role as influencer, right? Do we know, I mean, as business owners of such businesses or, as management team of such businesses, what is happening on that? What kind of, how many, people the person has spoken to and what has happened on those leads, whether they have bought our brand or not, what kind of recommendation is being given by the mason or the carpenter. I think most of the businesses are today not tracking this, but this is absolutely important if you want to really understand the end consumer behavior. So this data has to come, this data from field has to come, it has to come all the way to the corporate data, AI systems, analytic systems, and then you start analyzing and generating actionable insights. On the sales side, I think we need to enable, so everywhere where the product may not be overly complex, right? And the cycle is a little shorter, brand should start thinking about an e-commerce experience if it's not already there. In case of complexity, some information, the buyer needs some consultation before deciding. Those kind of places, influencers can play a key role. And I think there is a key play of retention and upsell, cross-sell, right? So like Budget Paint has devised strategy of service, right? Service, it's a recurring business. I mean, paint sale may not be a recurring business. I think every brand should think about what kind of recurrence, what kind of items can be there in the business where there can be a recurring revenue. I mean, auto is a great example, right? I mean, you buy auto, but you keep paying for service. That's a great, if you take the dealer route, if you start buying the auto directly, or through an influencer. I mean, it's a great business, great D2C business. So retention is a key thing. Unless there are mechanisms to generate more revenue from existing customer, sell the existing product again, or sell additional products, I think the profitability may not be in place. So a good example is the Bombay Shave Company, which was referred earlier. I am a customer of that. I keep, earlier I used to buy, Gillette and all in retail store. Now, I mean, last 3-4 years I haven't bought. I mean, they know when would I need my shave again, right? And proactively they are reaching out to me to buy something, some shaving product. I think that's a great example of, a business which is where there is a recurrence in product buying cycle. So looking at, I come from tech industry, so looking at the tech landscape which is enabling D2C. So I've tried to, kind of map where all tech help is required and what kind of brands, what kind of companies can play a role. And here I have put Leadsquared also, wherever Leadsquared has a play. So starting from product design to manufacturing, I think I'm not an expert on manufacturing, but today there are a lot of contract manufacturing companies. In fact, there are some the startups of Bangalore, who provide that. I think, and what I've heard is that they're getting great traction in the infra world. There is infra.market, which is I think doing absolutely great. Then there are applications and tech companies which are providing you technology to build your website and app, right? That is the starting point of creating your own kind of e-commerce experience or direct or D2C experience. Need not be e-commerce. So you have Shopify, which is a world leader. You have other players as well. Payment has become seamless today. I think it has not remained a challenge anymore. There are several providers. Then on the brand building marketing side, I mean, whether it's outreach, ATL, BTL kind of marketing or performance marketing, there are a number of companies. Leadsquared also has a play here. We have several customers who use power of Leadsquared to do customer outreach and generate ROI for marketing activities. And then on the sales side, when the lead comes, then how do you close? So if the product is little complex, right, it will require several interactions, several touch points, and maybe from different people, maybe from influencer, maybe from the retailer, maybe from a dealer. I mean, if it's a sizable deal. So how do we track all of this and use power of AI in order to suggest whom should be doing what, right? Today, we have a lot of data in systems like Leadsquared, and based on that, you can analyze what has been the behavior of a buyer who has actually, who's converted. And based on that, you can decide what are the next steps for prospects, whether they should be sent an email or a WhatsApp, or they should be called, or they should be, somebody should be doing home visit. So all that is possible. Then logistics is, of course, a very important area, a key area. And again, fortunately in India, you have several tech players enabling that. Then post-sales customer experience, I think for customer support, unless you invest on that, you will not have a great, experience of somebody again buying your product, right? I mean, and this post-sales service is also enabler of, your new business models, like, painting as a service, right? Those kind of models are enabled by these kind of software products. And that eventually will lead to repeat purchase. So there are, I mean, in last 10 years, there are, hundreds of companies, Indian companies, which have come up, which have best in the class product. Leadsquared is one of them, and I think we are very competitive compared with the global peers, whether it's Oracle or Microsoft or Salesforce or anybody else. I think I'm proud of our the founders, the founder community in India, which has created these kind of products, which are really best of the breed. And I think our Indian customers would be very, I think they'll be happy to try that. Of course, made in India and consumed in India is great. All right, so that was a bit about Leadsquared, what all we can cover. I think I've kind of covered some of it, but few additional points that in case of building materials business specifically, apart from field force automation, inside sales automation, marketing automation, we have offerings on, sales planning. You can, if you have a large network of people, dealers and influencers, you can do the planning of their goals and track goals in real time on mobile app and web, and distribute incentives also. So somebody's influencer deal, you can distribute incentives and track the entire cycle. We also enable, PJPs. I think that's very vital in case of the field sales use case, being able to plan the area and the day and the task for people in the field. So in summary, the technology is available. I think if anybody wants to decide on a D2C initiative, I think we and other players, I'm not saying I'm the only player, there are several other players. I think you can choose any of us, and I think it will certainly help in growing business. Some of the brands that we serve today, Greenply, a local brand, on the cement side, Dalmia, India Cements, on the glass side, Saint Gobain, in where, on the sanitary side. Bajaj Auto is a big customer for us. They I mean, from traditional dealer-based model, they are they've automated half the cycle of sales using Leadsquared. Symphony, coolers, and Sonalika tractors. These are traditional brands which are using Leadsquared, and these are some of the new generation brands. These are also, D2C kind of businesses. Ola Electric is a big customer. The entire OLX Auto, Cash My Car business runs on Leadsquared. Flipkart, Meesho, Amazon, they use us for the supplier side automation. In marketplaces like Practo, Pharmacy, we are used. In fintech, this is a big use case. The D2C has really taken off in fintech, right? I mean, we are buying equities, mutual funds without any broker in between, and some of these companies are powered by the technology that we provide, like Poonawalla, like Angel One, Motilal Oswal. All right, that's all. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions.
In case anyone has questions, yeah, somebody at the back.
Hi Prashant, my name is Sogata. I lead the strategy of my cloud company, and presently we deal with and serve about more than 500 small and medium enterprise customers out of East. Now, and also drive strategy for about 25 of these small and enterprise customers onto their growth models. Now, I'm giving you a business case, and maybe we can take it offline maybe later point of time. Is that for an organization of a smaller size, let's say 500 to 1,000 crore company, some of the major challenges which you might address, but one challenge we always face as a customer is about putting up a loyalty program across the customers which are there, right? Now this loyalty program does not mean that they come back onto loyalty and buy their own products, but a cross-brand loyalty. Let's say if I today, let's take an example of somebody who is in the construction business. He would go and let's say the masons or the contractors, he would earn loyalty points and then move to let's say a Burger King or let's say KFC and earn those loyalty points onto that. So does your platform anyway comes near where these thought processes are coming in the SME segments?
Yeah, great question, and I think loyalty is a key element, to expand, so today we do not serve loyalty use cases. I can recommend one of my peer companies called Capillary Technologies. They are doing great on loyalty side. That's their core business, loyalty CRM. You can explore that. The product is great. What we are thinking, and I'll share, that we built our own Leadsquared loyalty points, which are shared across our customer base, and these can be redeemed with any brand, right? For example, Leadsquared loyalty points can be used to redeem, say, Paytm, credits. So we're thinking about that. We don't have a direct offering today. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. So D2C is basically eliminating the middleman, but so the middleman pose as a human factor in the business. So when you subtract the human factor, that is connecting you and your brands to the customer directly, doesn't it interfere with, again I would ask, with the loyalty and customer retention part? Doesn't it kind of hamper that? Because they don't have anything, because AI and any technology cannot relate or connect with the customers directly. So if you please elaborate on this point.
Sure. I think it's important to understand where all full D2C, which means no middleman, may be applicable, where all there still may be middleman, and middleman is not necessarily a bad person, right? I mean, there are many of the traditional businesses have a very large distribution network, right? I mean, and multi-level network, and that really helps in reaching out to all parts of the country and delivering to consumers. So if the customer experience can be understood and influenced completely by the brand, then probably there is no need of middleman. If there are businesses who are using middlemen in that, I think there will be time and they will be gone, right? There's a human factor to it, but technology eventually, finds better things for human to do, not necessarily disrupting their livelihood. But if the product is little complex to understand, there is competition, there is price competition, there is some quality parameter competition. If it's either informative product or physical product, but some sort of advisory or consulting is required, interaction required, then the middleman is not going anywhere. The objective of D2C is to bring you closer to customer, not necessarily transact with the customer, right? So as long as you are close and you are able to analyze the behavior of the end consumer, I think the objective is met. So there is no pressing need to remove the middleman. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Out here. Yeah. This way. Yeah. Standing.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I was
No
mistaken.
issues.
Yeah.
No issues. So, I saw you have won 2 awards in CRM. Now, CRM is a very old thing. We have seen Sugar CRM, etc., etc. Salesforce, Zoho, etc. Right? So, what is that plus that you provide there? That would be something I would like to understand. Second is you spoke of AI quite a couple of times. Can you please explain what exactly you do in AI?
Sure, great questions. We get those questions time and again in deals and when we are raising investments. So, Leadsquared is the key differentiator from the product side is we are built ground up to service the needs of consumer-facing businesses. A business which is eventually serving a consumer, unlike a business which is a pure B2B. So, for example, an Infosys kind of business may not be a great customer for Leadsquared, but Apply business will be a great customer for Leadsquared, right? And since we are focused on that area, we have built our data structures, we have built our workflows, we have built our all the pieces of software to optimize it for their business process. So, in software world, there are philosophies, right? How do you build software? You can be very horizontal, very framework driven that you can serve all the use cases, or you rather some use cases, but serve them well. We are on the second side. We are serving some use cases, but we are serving them well, right? Because serving all the use cases brings complexity in software. It compromises the user experience, So we are better than everybody else in that area when it comes to consumer-facing businesses. We are better than everybody else. When I say everybody, it includes all the vendors. Coming to AI, the kind of use cases that we are working on. So one is that being able to score a lead or opportunity by using the data of the past. What is the probability of closure, and also suggesting what would the next step to close, right? So as a salesperson or as a marketing person, you'd want to know if something is not closing, what am I supposed to do at a unit level or aggregate level? So we provide that intelligence. In businesses where calling is important, right? There is a calling use case. We have to close the deal on call. A lot of intelligence resides in the call recording, right? So we are able to analyze those recordings and figure out, what kind of conversation led to closure, positive outcome, what kind of conversation led to a negative outcome. And based on that, in real time, suggest a salesperson, right? It depends on, what kind of telephone infrastructure they have, but we have the capability to suggest the salesperson in real time, what should they speaking to, right? What kind of, statement or conversation they should be having with the end buyer. So those are the AI use cases.
Hello. I think you mentioned about your position in unicorn. Probably
Yes.
you mentioned 103. Actually, optimistically, we are all keeping track of unicorns in India because most of the venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, California, or wherever, they are trying to help, doing business or helping unicorns in India. So since the time, the number of unicorns in India were about 50, and I think our Prime Minister declared some time back 103. I am particularly interested to know about number of unicorns in India along with yours, and how many are doing positively, in profit. Because many, including EdTech and others, they are going into losses.
Yeah, so sure, I'll try to give as accurate as possible. Maybe off with some percentage points. I think today we have around 107 unicorns or 108 unicorns. There were only 5 which became after us because of funding winter which set in last couple of years. Doesn't mean that there are businesses who were not valid unicorn. It's just that there is lack of funding today, and the multiples valuation multiples have changed. So today, out of 108, if that is the number, my sense is that roughly 30% to 40% are profitable at unit level, if not at EBITDA level. And these are going to be sustainable long-term businesses which are going to create tremendous value for their investors and shareholders. Unfortunately, some of these will die also. Being unicorn doesn't guarantee you long-term success. If your business is not fundamentally right, then eventually you're going to run out of resources and fail, right? So some of these fail, I can't predict how many. But what I can say is that Leadsquared is a business which will certainly be, available, profitable, and it will be, long-term business. Because, and I can say about SaaS business also, that's my domain. I think none of the SaaS unicorns is going to fail because our business is, actually it's a great cash flow business. I mean, I think it's a reimagination of IT services in a recurring format. It's a great cash flow business. And anybody who's looking at the metric properly can actually, like I said earlier, get 5 rupees out of every 1 rupee investment. So, yeah, so that would be my answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I request Mr. Siddhartha Roy, CEO Response India Limited and Mentor Marketing and Brand Committee of the Bengal Chamber to kindly come up on stage and hand over a small token of appreciation from our end.